Hey, welcome to the Padawan YouTube channel. Today we're going to take a look at all the species we could find and identify in the Mandalorian episodes 2 through 4. So stick around and we'll dig right in. Alright, so let's try to take this in a general order here of episode 2 through 4 chronologically, and then at the end we'll go back. I have a little segment at the end I want to do analyzing some of these aliens and who they may be. Alright, so episode 2, we hop right in. The Mandalorian's got the baby Yoda, and we're walking through the canyons. We see these unsentient or non-sentient lizard guys right here. And then we jump right in with some Trandoshans, kind of jump the Mandalorian and get in a fight. We already saw these guys in the bar scene in episode 1. Pretty common, Bosk is the famous one there. So this species has been around for a while. Definitely a neat look. They did a great job with the prosthetics and makeup. It's really cool. All right, moving right along, we see a bunch of Jawas. These guys are cool. Obviously, we saw them in the first episode in the streets of near the Bounty Hunters Guild. These guys have been around forever. Obviously, A New Hope. The ones in the Mandalorian are a little different. They have the gray outfits on, but same basic concept. Same funky little language. They got the little zappers. Just a cool species. And then really to wrap up episode 2, we go with the big Mudhorn. Seemingly non-sentient Mandalorian sent in to grab its egg, so he gets in a fight with it. It kind of looks like the Reek from the Attack of the Clones. Yeah, this guy right here. But, it doesn't have the side horns around the mouth, just has the one big horn, and definitely a muddier and hairier looking guy. All right, so then we'll jump right into episode 3. So the Mandalorian's on his way back. He gets back to the Bounty Hunter Guild planet. Right here we see the blue Onedone. I think is what we've come up with. He's been on 2 planets so far, and it seems like he's following the Mandalorian around with his buddy, the 4-eyed guy who we identified as a Diplod or a Dyplotid. Which is kind of cool. And then we actually, to the right here, you see like what looks like an actual one and done from or Onedone. The picture, the best picture we have is from Maz Kanata's castle, which is right here. And this guy to the right looks like the true Onedone that we had. And the blue guy just kind of is that's the closest we could come. It doesn't look like he has the full snout. So it's cool that it seems like they've used both here. Which is neat. The blue guy also showed up in Canto Bight. So that's pretty cool. Moving right along, we see a Keteerian and a Twilek, again, just kind of chilling here on the wall. We've seen this space guy before, this little spaceman, in episode 1, but he shows back up here. Don't really have a species. There were famously like space looking outfits, like real life from the real world space looking outfits in the cantina on Mos Eisley and A New Hope. So maybe this is a spin-off of that. Don't really know, but definitely a cool look. Now we're going to hop right into the cantina again, or the bar where the Bounty Hunters Guild is held. We got a Zabrak, which is always cool to see. Obviously, most famously, Darth Maul, his species. So we got him here. Now as we walk by, we got the cool mask guy, again, that we mentioned in episode 1. Don't have a species for this guy yet. And then as we walk through here, this guy kind of has an elongated top of his head. Maybe a Cerean. Doesn't quite look like the Cereans we've seen before. Obviously, Kyamundi, which is here. You can see how his head's a little longer. But again, we're getting into deeper into the to the canon here and to the lore, and you're going to see different variations of all these aliens, right? So maybe a Cerean. As we move through here, now we got this guy, the Y-head, right, that we talked about in episode 1. We have confirmed that this guy is a Melbu, and I'll get more into him later because there's a series of guys here that one or two are confirmed from the Cloud Riders in the Solo movie. So this guy's one of them. So we'll circle back around to them. You know, we have the Rodian. This is the confirmed Cloud Rider. But again, we'll get back into her. Very cool Rodian with the coloration of the skin. We saw this human talking to this blue-skinned humanoid in episode 1 too. We don't have a confirmed species for this guy with blue skin, humanoid blue skin. I'm going to go out on a limb and throw one out there, though, that he may be Pantoran, which we've seen in canon a couple times, mostly in the Clone Wars, but we do have this shot from the prequels. Now, as we keep going here, we have this robot guy in the background. Not sure if it's just a helmet or a robot, but it does look kind of like the 4 Lam, which is a Lam series droid, which was one of the bounty hunters in Empire Strikes Back. A little bit of a stretch, but like we've said here, you know, just throwing ideas out there. It has the vibe of that. It also kind of has a little bit of the vibe of like the Death Star droid. Yeah, this guy right here. So it looks similar to these two things, maybe a mix, maybe something brand new, but just something to keep in mind. Now we get a good shot here of the red and black kind of humanoid with the ridged head that we talked about in episode 1. He's pretty neat looking. We have another shot later right here of him holding up the Mando as he goes after he rescues the baby Yoda. So still don't have a species on him. I'm looking hard to see if it was if it's something from Maz's castle, or maybe something from Solo, or in the background a Canto Bight, but I haven't found anything. Just a really neat looking guy, right? Here we have another species, unconfirmed, but this is another member that looks very similar to somebody from one of the aliens from Canto Bight, and also from the Cloud Riders. So we'll keep an eye on this type of alien. We'll also circle back at the end when I talk about the Cloud Riders. Continuing to move on in the background of a couple of the shots, we see that the 4-eyed guy that is a Dyplotid is what I'm going to go with. Sorry if it's pronounced wrong, but Dyplotid. This guy was also maybe not this exact guy, but this species was also seen in Solo with the Cloud Riders. This guy also with the Onedone, the blue Onedone, he's shown up a couple times. He was on that first planet in the snow as well. So I don't know if these guys may play a role later that they're following them around, but they've both ended up on the that first planet that we see in episode 1, the snowy planet, and on the Bounty Hunter Guild's planet. So just something to keep in mind. Pretty fun. And then kind of towards the end of the cantina scene here, the Mando picks a puck of his next bounty, and it's a Mon Calamari. So that's kind of cool to see them show up. They've been around. Now let's get into that scene where the Mando's walking back to his ship kind of down the street after he rescues the baby Yoda. Lot of stuff going on here, right? So we're just going to try to get into a few of them. We see a Nikto here to the side, which we saw a ton of in episode 1. We get another good shot of the red and black guy that I showed you before that we're still trying to identify. Get this guy with horns on the side of Greef Karga here. He's pretty cool looking. My best guess here is we have a Deveronian. 2 horns. This guy's got kind of a beard. Deveronians have shown up a decent amount in canon, the Clone Wars and stuff like that. Here's a couple shots of other ones. But I think we pretty clearly have a Deveronian here. I don't see anything to suggest that he's not. Moving through here, we have another shot of the cool mask guy, which is neat, and another shot of the Lam series droid, or the one that I'm guessing is a Lam series droid, which is pretty neat. We have a bunch of other kind of aliens that come in and out here. We have the Melbu again, who shows up. We see the Rodian. We see a bunch of the humanoids. And this is right before the Mandos come in and kind of rescue the day. Still working on some of the background guys here. I'll show a few shots of people I'm trying to figure out. They're kind of just flashes here and there, and they're not clear. But I think some of these shots are not humanoids or not humans or near humans. So we'll keep diving into these, see if we can get some kind of identification on them, which would be neat. All right. So that kind of wraps up episode 3. Let's hop right into episode 4. So episode 4, we're on the new planet. We're kind of coming in here. We get some Klatooinians, which is really neat. These guys have shown up a bunch in the Clone Wars as well, but they first showed up in Return of the Jedi in Jabba's palace. So it's neat to see them returning. Basically, all the raiders are. They're kind of like dog face kind of guys. This is a good shot. So that's pretty cool, bringing them back. We also, right before you see the raid, you do see these blue krill, which are pretty neat. They seem to play a big part in this this planet's ecosystem, at least here. You see the farmers are farming them. They get raided, and that's what the raiders steal. And you see the blue tanks later in the episode is kind of like, it looks like that's coming from the blue krill. And even in the bar at the beginning, you can see some of the blue krill stuff, or blue juice. You know what I mean? So it plays a big part in this economy here, which is pretty cool. Going back to the bar on the new planet, we have a Suerton and a Twilek hanging around. We do have this mystery, like, lizard kind of guy. He might be a version of something we saw in Canto Bight. Still working on kind of nailing that down. But it looks like he's almost like a crocodile mouth. Really cool looking alien. We don't get a great shot, but we'll keep looking into this guy. We see the Tuca cat, or Loth cat, which is also really neat to see. These were all throughout the Clone Wars, and the Loth cat was mainly in Rebels. So they're a well-traveled species. Really cool to see this one in action and live action. So that's neat. Then we really wrap up here, and we get to the end, and we have the bounty hunter, who's a Kubaz, who we saw at the beginning. Not this exact guy, but we saw at the beginning playing the flute to call in episode 1 to call in the speeders. So same species here. Pretty neat design, especially with the overcoat. Looks pretty badass, right? And then a fun little throw in here at the end is in the credit art, we actually see an Aqualish. So I didn't spot him in the episode, but in the art, it looks like they were thinking about bringing in an Aqualish, which is neat. Certainly cool to mention. So now those are the species we found. I just want to get a little bit theory crafting here. A bunch of the aliens that we've seen so far looked like direct model, basically imports. Like they went back to the creature shop and had these models still around of the Cloud Riders from Solo. So there's some really neat pictures from the Solo breakdown of these aliens, okay? And we'll pull some up here and we'll check them out. And you can see that the one confirmed that I know of is the Rodian, is definitely the Rodian that was in the Cloud Riders. Chudiso, I think was her name, or Chusito. And she has a really unique skin coloration, which is really cool. And she's wearing the exact same outfit with the teeth around her neck in the bar scenes in The Mandalorian. So that one's confirmed, and I believe that was confirmed by the guy that designed her. So she bites the dust. She's one of the ones that the Mando vaporizes. So that's a bummer. You have the Dyplotid, which we've talked about, the guy with 4 eyes who's been in the background and was on the first planet. He could potentially be the Dyplotid from the Cloud Riders. You also have the Melbu, the Y-headed guy. Not sure if we're confirmed that he got killed, but he did get shot or zapped in that Mando scene at the end when they're confronting the Mando. So I don't know that he's confirmed done, but I think a lot of the people that were in that fight that weren't the Mandalorian and weren't Grief Karga are probably goners, because obviously the Mandalorian took out a bunch, and then when all his buddies came in, a lot more got taken out. So until we see further, I would assume a lot of them are dead. Then you have this alien. Okay, we saw them in the Canto Bight scene as well, and this alien was also in the Cloud Riders from Solo. Silvaso Fi. We don't have a name on this alien yet. It's kind of cool. It looks a little Akachi, but not as much a humanoid face. It's definitely a different face, but the horns pointing down. It's a pretty neat look. Now, this one leaning up against the wall in The Mandalorian, I think this is a little more of a long shot that it's supposed to be Sylvaso Fi from the Cloud Riders, but similar coloration, similar overcoat, and the arm kind of like where the vambraces would be, and her gloves seem to be the same kind of stuff. Again, let's be honest, some of this is probably pulled from the same creature shop, and they're reusing aliens and changing little things just to bring the world alive. You know what I mean? They don't have to be the same alien. But seeing how there's other Cloud Riders clearly here, and one at least one confirmed, it's kind of fun to speculate that they may all be around, right? And obviously there's a ton of the Cloud Riders too that you don't see their faces. Some are human, which are going to be tougher to pinpoint this much later. You know, that would have happened. I think that was 10 years before New Hope, so that's like 19 years ago. Let's put it between 10 and 19 years ago, or 19 years before, 10 to 19 years before the Mandalorian. So all these creatures would have aged, and a lot of the Cloud Riders wore helmets, so we may not know the species. You know, it's not completely broken down. So that kind of brings it to a close. I thought that was fun. The Cloud Riders are definitely cool to check out. There's also a solo comic adaptation that has a few of them in the background. There's some other really neat looking ones that I'm going to try. These two in particular. These guys I'm really looking for in the background of the next couple episodes, because if they're going to reuse them, or if the Cloud Riders, if they're going to bring that into the story somehow, which I doubt, but you never know, these guys should be around. So we'll keep our eyes out for these guys. Still have a few more to try to identify, especially that lizard guy. The lizard guy in episode 4 at the bar, the black and red skinned ridge-headed guy that's been in multiple episodes now, that's in the Bounty Hunters Guild, and the guy with the really cool mask, the like Sith looking, kind of looks like Idrio Two Tubes, like almost like the top half of what that mask would look like if his, you know, breath breather was up. So yeah, so I mean, it's pretty cool. We'll keep an eye on them. Obviously looking forward to the next couple of episodes. Thank you for hanging out. If you could hit, you know, the like button, comment with any comments or anything you want to talk about, and if you could subscribe to the channel, that would mean a lot to us. So I appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.